I was sent here specially to try to find out how these women died. It was a job I was given. And I don't mean to leave this convent until I've solved the mystery.
Well, there's no mystery in this convent, I assure you. Everything is ready, my darling. Do not be afraid. Soon we'll be together again.
This sandwich tastes dry as hell.
L-O-L-L-I-P-O-P spells lollipop.
Why don't you just go hand out parking tickets and leave me alone? Stick to something you know about.
Listen, my daughter was about your age. Then she met a guy like you. Now she's dead.
You should believe in ghosts, P-Brain.
He's a closet. Don't hurt me, please. Don't keep me waiting for those onions, Herman.
This is all the whiskey you possess?
Everyone out of the way of the bulldozer!
Hello and welcome to Hello, This is the Doom Show. I am Richard. Folks, I am basically a sinful, monastery-bound little boy today because I have a very special guest. This guest and I have been playing the game of, when are we going to do this? When are we going to do this? And then I'm not a busy person, so I was like, dude, and my guest was like, whoa, bro. That's basically the conversation. So I'm talking to somebody who you can find on the Blu-rays, and you can also find on the airwaves of podcasting and in the paper words. I'm talking about Rachael Nisbet. Hello, Rachael.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's nice to finally be talking to you.
Dude,
after, like 10 years or something.
We made this happen. So I first found your blog, Hypnotic Crescendos, and I was blown away. I was like, what? This is so good. Like, I was like, man, I'm like a finger painting blogger compared to this. Why is the clock chiming? Hold on, let me stop this clock.
Supernatural.
Folks, I remember I interviewed somebody on this show and they're like, oh, the cuckoo clock is a real clock? You don't add that as like effect? I'm like, no, that's insane. Why would I do that?
I think you got like a soundboard and you're just pressing like cuckoo clock randomly.
It would be the Arnold Schwarzenegger soundboard. Who is your daddy and what does he do?
I told me you say Mr. Freeze in there as well. Somehow getting like Mr. Freeze puns in.
Oh my god.
Can you imagine?
So, talked about the blog. Please check out Hypnotic Crescendos. It's incredible. You are on several movies in my collection now. You just are a co-star. You're one of the actresses. No, you have been... That'd be amazing. You've been digitally adding yourself, George Lucas style.
Oh my god, can you imagine? I'm trying to think what film I would most like to digitally add myself to. I don't know.
Well, it wouldn't be called Nothing Underneath. It'd be called Something's Up. What's going on with this fresh lady in the movie? No, so I have the Nothing Underneath. Is that a double feature, right?
It's a double feature. You one side Nothing Underneath, flip the cover over, it's Too Beautiful to Die. And
you provide marvelous commentary. And I didn't even know this happened. You and Peter, your pal, do a podcast called Fragments of Fear.
Yep.
And you guys are on the Designated Victim release?
Yeah.
For Mondo
really
Macabro.
Exciting. Yeah, we did that, and we just got it. I think it was announced like a month ago, maybe not even a month ago. We're on the Pensione Pora release, aka Hotel Fear. So that's really exciting. So,
I have not seen that
taken over
in forever.
Yeah, because it's never really had like a decent enough release.
No.
An Italian release, right? But yeah, no, that was like so much fun to do. Like sometimes when you do these commentaries, because you're watching a film like over and over again, it just kind of gives you like a whole new perspective. Like I obviously like the film, but then yeah, you get to like properly delve in, which is nice.
Nice, because that's what happened back in the early days when it was really hard to find this stuff, because you'd have your 10 or 12 films or less, and finding more gialli, finding more Italian horror was impossible. So you just kind of rewatch what you had. So you end up watching something like, I don't know, like Kill Baby Kill, like half a dozen or 10 times before you buy something new to watch.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I was thinking when you asked me to do this, when I first started getting into this, like, oh God, I feel really old now. You probably feel older.
I hope so.
But I remember finding your Shiloh Meltdown blog.
Yep.
Or website, and that was like, for me, what you were one of the first people that I saw that was talking about films that were more on the obscure end, because you get so used, because like there was such a problem with kind of sourcing these films back then, and obviously it would have been more so in the 80s or whatever. I'm not trying to say like, you know, it's comparable, but yeah, like you would find someone like you in your site, and you'd be like, oh yeah, somebody's talking about these films, and like the more obscure end, it's not just the same like titles over and over again that you can buy at HMV. So yeah, it was really cool to like find you there, and now we're friends all these years later.
In the early 2000s, there was no renting stuff, and downloading was like in its infancy. So
yeah,
and those VHS tapes, the VHS collectors had already begun scooping up all the stuff. So you had to spend a lot of money just to see these films. Like I just remember my first initial like looking up stuff online and immediately having Tenebrae spoiled.
Oh really?
Immediately, the first site I found was like, here's all the photos of the whole movie, and I'm like, this looks great. Oh wait, that looks important, that part.
Yeah.
Shit. Luckily it didn't matter. Like Tenebrae, it is an amazing twist, but even if you know it's coming, that's not the whole movie.
Yeah, I just feel sorry for you because it's such a good twist if you don't know. Like, it's still effective, but yeah, I'd be lying awake at night thinking about that person that spoiled it for me.
That Peter Neal, that magnificent son of a bitch.
I want his wee joke like knife thing, not knife, razor.
Yep.
Quite like to do that party trick.
Yeah. I would love to frickin' find that razor in the street and just start slashing at my throat and be like, ha ha ha. And then people will be like, that's not the joke one. Take me to the hospital. That was a funny thing I said. No. So, folks, check out all this stuff. Just go to your favorite Blu-ray company, hashtag Rachael Nisbet. You're going to find her stuff. Dude, you are a very inspiring person.
Thank you very much. I feel like I'm not worthy of such an introduction.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm sure some people probably aren't happy. They're like, oh, that fucking Rachael Nisbet's on another release, ruining it with her.
What was the criticism you got? Someone's like, oh, she's clearly reading from a script. And I was like, all right, asshole, why don't you talk for 90 minutes?
It's really hard. That's the thing. When it's like, I don't know. It's like you could do it off the cuff, but I've got to, like, there's so much you want to pack in. That it's that thing of trying to like, trying to deliver the content, but you don't want to sound too like, I get like you don't want to sound too like rehearsed, but it's difficult. I also got told I was everything wrong. Like, I've said this before and things, but I got told I was everything wrong with modern horror. I'm like a stupid American woman. Which I was like, I'm not American.
What part of your accent gives people American?
I think they just saw like a tweet, like they saw my tweets or something, and they were like, "Oh, she's American for some reason."
Every episode of Fragments of Fear starts the same way. Hey, y'all, it's me, Peter, and here's my pal Rachel, and you're like, "Hey, everybody, my name's Rachael Nisbet." Come on, come on. American
I know,
woman.
but I'm sure you find it yourself. Like, there's lots of criticism here and there. But
I had a friend. This guy didn't stay a friend for very long, and I remember bitching to him about like people's criticisms of Giallo Meltdown. The book was like, the art sucks, and they're like really mad about the art. Like, there's so many beautiful Italian movie posters, and he had some stupid art on the front. I'm like, yeah, but those movie posters don't capture what I wanted to do. Plus, my wife is my in-house artist, so go to hell. And
stay loyal.
He just got mad at me one day and blocked me on all forms of social media, and then wrote the most scathing review of Giallo Meltdown ever. Dude, this guy was such a dick. And he talked about my wife being a foot artist. And after reading it over and over again, I was like, oh wait, he's referring to the film My Left Foot.
Oh, okay. I just thought she drew everyone like a foot or something. And that's where it came from.
She drew me as a big toe.
Yeah, you're just like a foot and then your face in the middle with a little mustache.
I kind of look like a toe in real life, but I just couldn't believe this review. And then he also said that I have a nightmare worldview, which is like the best compliment.
I was gonna say that sounds like a compliment. I don't know what's a nightmare worldview like. What's that as a negative? I don't know.
It gets weirder too. He rewrote the review saying that now that he's had his first child, he's a lot more chill. And he like rewrote like, hey, this book's good for what it is. You know, this is like a fan book. And I'm like, which has always ever been a fan book and not a scholarly freaking publication. But he like retracted his review and then he deleted the retraction.
What?
Dude, so insane.
You're obviously like in this guy's mind all the time that you felt the need to like rewrite a review and then retract. Oh my god.
I'm losing my fucking mind, dude.
People are weird. I know that's the thing. Like, you're like, why are these people so bothered? You're like, oh, I guess there's not a lot going on.
I'm actually getting like sweating. This is so fun. I love talking about this. Thank you for being there for me.
No problem. Yeah. We'll just get all off our chest, right?
I'm scared to even open the bag of worms of the kind of bullshit you get because you're not a male writer. Like, I can only imagine that the sad little boys who can't handle a writer, a film critic, not of the manly gender. Like I don't understand. Like, sexism is pretty radical, dude. I want to break some dicks off. I'm so mad.
It's just such a weird one because it's like people get so angry about it and you're like, okay, like this is my passion and stuff and this is what I do and I make some money off it. But you're like, at the end of the day, I'm just like, you know, I go with my friends, like sit and watch like shite on the TV with my husband or like do this, that and the other. It's like, I don't like, it just feels like they're so entrenched in that world that like for some reason you're a threat. And it's like, I don't know why these people, like, it's not just like, I don't get as bad as other people, but
yeah,
you're like, they're so obsessed about it. And you're like, don't you like have like a life outside of films? Like, I love, like, I'm sure you're the same, like we both love films, but we have lives as well where we do other things.
You know, I come from a world of like underground, you know, punk rock music, and nothing was cooler than to look up on stage and see either one female member of a band or an entire band of ladies. It was just more interesting and more exciting because it felt like this male-dominated thing, somebody was doing something amazing. And I feel the same way about the criticism of films and, like, podcasts. It's so male-dominated, this nerdy culture. Like, why doesn't that make it more interesting? Like, hello?
I know you'd think, and it's funny as well because like the prominent women that are in that community, like people are quick to be like, oh, you know, they're trying to be like horror influencers, or like if women share pictures of themselves or whatever, there's like, oh, it's, you know, they're getting like certain kind of acclaim because of that. Like people can't win really. And then if they're like deemed as like, you know, too ugly or old or whatever, that's like another issue. Again, it's just, I'm just finding it weird. I'm like, I don't know what the problem is. Like, surely it doesn't matter. Like, I always, like, I say to Peter and other people, I'm like, well, why don't you just, if you're that bothered, just write your own stuff. Yeah. Like, start up your own blog. Like, there's nothing stopping you, like, sharing your own thoughts.
Hey, I got into writing about movies because of one very specific book about Italian horror called, brace yourself, Italian Horror. And that book, the dude hated everything in it. He hated everything. He was so angry. Like, he decided to write. It felt like a part two. Folks, if I have just talked about this on the show, I apologize. I talk about this book way too much. But anyway.
I'm trying to think which book it is. I'm like, is it the blue one?
It's called Italian Horror by Jim Harper. And it feels like a part two. He feels like he scrapped the book of like the early days of Italian horror and then started this book that was just the late 70s through the 90s.
Oh, that's weird.
And he doesn't like anything except for like the superstars, like, you know, Della Morte Dell'Amore or, you know, Fulci Zombie. Like, those things get glowing reviews, but then everything else is trash. And I got so angry that I started writing about stuff, you know, that's how I got into it.
I love that because that's what it should be. It's kind of like me. It's like you write stuff because you don't see it elsewhere or you like disagree with something. So you're like, I'll just put out my own thoughts on it.
Totally.
I never get it though. Why would you write a book where you're just slagging off everything that you've seen? Like, to me, that seems like quite an angry way of living. Just like, oh, this is shite. I hate it all.
I've been trying to stay positive. I write reviews for EuroCultAV.com and I have a few films that have broken me recently that I'm still struggling to write the reviews. A little movie called Master of the World.
Right.
Which is a Quest for Fire ripoff, which how the fuck does that exist? I don't.
Someone decided that was a good idea.
That movie bucked me like a bronco. I mean, it was so, I was like, whoa, oh my God. Like, I was just full of rage watching this. So I'm trying to find something nice to say about it other than the soundtrack is awesome.
I love it. Yeah, no, well, that's the one thing at least you can say about it. So you're already onto something.
Look at that one sentence down. All right.
I know it's so hard though, because it's like, I don't know. Like, when I first started writing, probably you're the same. Like everybody, like you got all those kind of like trash, like humor kind of reviews, you know, where people are like, "Oh, everything's shite," but like we'll make a joke of it.
Right.
And then you kind of move to people being a bit more like, "Okay, let's look at a film in a more serious way or be a bit more positive." And now you've got like that backlash of like, "Oh, well, films deserve criticism," and yeah. It seems like, yeah, there's always a different view on it.
It's a minefield, especially when you just want to talk about opinions on Twitter. It's the best. Like, there's the people who think they're being attacked because they love something. There's the people who think they're being attacked because they hate something. Then there's the people who are complaining about the fights.
Yeah, no, this is the thing. This is exactly it, though. It's like this weird, like, critical culture of like either too negative, too positive, and then like the people in the middle. They're like, oh, everyone's like, yeah.
And I'm not above getting caught up in it. I felt weird because like I would talk about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 as like a favorite, and I literally had people tell me I was a fucking idiot. Like, you're a fucking moron. And so I felt really defensive. And now I'm like, shit, I don't care. It's whatever, dude. I'm like spinning out.
It's just Twitter, though, isn't it? It's
great.
Like anything you talk about, someone's like, "Oh, I hate it," or you know, I don't really care. I was just mentioning a film. I don't know why you're getting so stressed out, and I don't like aggro in general. Yeah. So I think, like, you know, when I see a modern film, I don't tend to ever tweet about it because I feel like that's just automatically going to set like all these people on me. So I'm like, I just can't be bothered with the stress.
Yeah, I don't talk about when I watch the frickin' Halloween Kills. I'm like, nope, zipping my lip, zipping my lip. Don't want to get into it.
Yeah, it's fine though. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, it's not like you're scared to have an opinion. You just can't be bothered with all these people in your mentions.
You know, I never feel more disconnected from the horror community than I do when something new in a franchise comes out. Like, oh boy, like this new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, man, like, get me out of here. Like, people are losing their minds over it. And I'm glad that folks have the energy to argue pro or con for that movie, but I'm 45 years old, y'all. I can't with this shit anymore.
I know, and it's like people are like, oh, the horror community, like, oh, the horror community. It's like, what community? Just people fighting all the time. It's like, we should be united as a horror community. It's like, I don't think that's like a thing.
I'm on Twitter to find out about movies I've never heard of. And I follow people that are doing deep dives into Hong Kong cinema.
Oh, I love that. So cool.
I'll never get to all this shit, dude. It's crazy. Like, if you're into cult cinema and you like, if you look beyond horror, which it took me a long time to do, when you look beyond it, it just never stops. You'll never see it all.
Do you ever get those moments where you're like, oh, you know, I feel like I've discovered so much of this. Maybe there's no like I'm not talking about in just the whole of cinema, but like a niche, like Italian, like cult cinema. And then you'll find like something and you'll find something else. And you're like, oh, it's just like a treasure trove. You're never really done. Just
recently, if you folks follow the YouTube channel called Giallo Realm, you will get blindsided by rare stuff on that channel. I don't know how he does it. He finds stuff that just blew me away. There's what the hell? I've got the internet. What's the internet? Let me just talk about this real quick, because I was like, I think this is a made-for-TV Giallo from our pal Aldo Lado.
Oh yeah, I know the one you mean. It's the
Crime in Via Tiulada.
Yeah.
Or Giallo Astris, 1980. It's got music that Fabio Frizzi did that sounds like all outtakes from City of the Living Dead mixed into this score. And it's just like an hour and 30-second long TV Giallo that looks awesome. Looks so good. good.
You've got that woman at the start as well, and she's all kind of done up like a swan, and it's just got some really nice imagery. And
Dude.
yeah, there's some cool like TV stuff. If you look in beyond like film even and look at like kind of television productions, like Giallo mystery stuff, you can find some gems. But yeah, a lot of it's not in English, but sometimes you just watch it anyway.
And the Google Translate feature on YouTube, we'll translate those Italian subtitles for you. And you click the translate and it's gibberish.
I know, it's really like I can get a tiny bit out of it, but
I'm literally staring at my shelf of Learn Italian books and feeling shame because my wife is always like, so, should we get rid of these? I'm like, no, I'm gonna learn it. Okay.
One day, I know it's like, I'm trying to learn Italian as well, but it's slow process. I feel like I'm slightly getting more understanding, but I think I'm kidding myself in how much I can understand. Like, I can watch this film, like, no.
All you need to know is aiuto.
Yeah.
It's all you need to know, brother.
And that's the thing, you just learn all these like words, the kind of mystery words, murder words.
Yeah, blood, scorpion,
yeah.
four flies, whatever. Folks, we're about to talk about two films. I said, Rachel, please pick what we're going to talk about, and she picked a couple of doozies.
Yeah, I decided to stay away from the giallo because that's what I'm kind of known for, and then I thought we'll go for more broad Italian horror.
I'm going to say you tried to. I'm going to say that giallo's sneaking up on you, but
I know, well, yeah, had to get in there somewhere, but yeah. I thought, well, this is a bit more, it's not usually what I go for, so
yeah,
it's fun.
We're going to talk about Beyond the Darkness from 1979, and we're going to talk about The Other Hell from 1981, and I say, let's go in order.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do Beyond the Darkness first. And I actually found a pretty fun trailer for it. Italian trailers are always lacking that thing they so desperately need, which is a voiceover guy.
Yeah.
But Beyond the Darkness, this trailer has a guy. He's got some shit to say. So here is the trailer for Beyond the Darkness.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are easily frightened, we advise you not to watch this film. On the other hand, if you enjoy the violent emotions, this film is for you.
Body of a whore, dead forevermore. Body 3 times, cursed pain and torture first. Body in a crypt, body hellfire dipped. Body ringing bell, body into hell. No one's life you save, crumble in your grave.
Where did you hide her?
In a safer place than in your truck.
Sometimes I could kill you, Iris.
Just once. I want you to make love to me before I die.
You mustn't speak like that. Death has no power to separate us.
You swore you'd never come back into this room again.
I want to stay here alone with my mother.
Frank, your mother's dead.
So is Anna.
You've got to get rid of your stupid little toy. Do you understand me, Frank?
No!
You will, though. You'll see. You'll do it.
A young girl was reported missing 3 days ago. When last seen, she was in this area. Did you see anyone then? No. Who are you? Police. If you enjoy the violent emotions, this film is for you.
I was lucky enough to go through my sick VHS collection, bro, and pull out this amazing... No, I'm just kidding. I don't own this. I wish I owned this. Let me see if I can open this window without Getting pissed off at the internet. Okay, I got it. So here is the VHS description of Beyond the Darkness. All men in love are a little crazy, but this film shows how love can become a horrifying obsession and turn a man into a brutal, savage, evil, and sick animal. His actions bizarre, his desires macabre. He crosses the border of sanity. He goes
Beyond the Darkness.
That's hot.
Nice.
That is.
Wish I could write something as good as that.
There's a lot of periods and commas. Good stuff. I like words. But yeah, this is from Joe D'Amato, aka, let me butcher his name for everyone to laugh at, Aristide Massachesi.
Yeah.
I just went for it.
Yeah, sometimes you just go for it, or you have a few drinks and it just makes everything roll off the tongue easier.
That's how his parents named him. They were drunk, obviously.
We just like to call him Old Joe.
Dude, I called him Joe D'Amato I called him Joe D'Amato for years, and Jeffrey was like, dude, it's D'Amato. And I'm like, oh, come on, just because you're Italian. You don't know.
Sometimes though you just see like words written down all the time that you're not thinking too much about pronunciation.
Oh, like creamy? My horrible, embarrassing talking about German creamies. I kept saying the word creamy over and over again. And somebody's like, dude, I think it's creamy. And I'm like, oh, I don't have to embarrass myself because people were giving me weird looks when I talk about, oh, the giallo is also influenced by the German creamy. I'm a freak.
Oh, I've butchered so many names on
dude.
the podcast.
Oh, my friend Brad, bless him, he's like, it's Michele Soavi. And I'm like, oh shit, I've been calling him Michelle Soavi. Damn it. And I actually got into an argument with somebody who was watching a critique of, maybe it was The Sect or maybe it was Stage Fright or something, and they commented like, it's pronounced Michelle Soavi, dude. And I literally found an interview with an Italian person in one of his movies talking about him as a director, and they said his name in Italian, and I'm like, here you go, buddy. And I posted that link. That's how you say it. And that's when I realized I was wasting my life.
Yeah, you're on a losing battle there.
I was just talking about how I don't get into this shit.
I know, and there you are, like, spending all your time trying to find, like, proof to show someone that they're wrong.
At least it was a few years ago. I'm much more chill now. My thyroid is practically in check, folks. Sorry if I got too personal. Well, this movie has one hell of a reputation because it's unlike a lot of Italian horror. Grim.
Yeah, it's pretty much viewed as one of the most extreme Italian horrors, which is probably not an unfair assessment, really, is it? I mean, it's pretty grimy, to say the least.
Dude, it has a moment that even made me, I didn't gag, but I was like, how long ago was dinner?
Well, that's the thing, like, you watch it now and you're like, oh, like, I've seen it before, like, I'm rewatching it, and they're like, oh no, it's still quite, there's like, yeah, some pretty gruesome bits in it.
Oh yeah. But our pal here is, his name is Kieran Cantor, and he plays old Frank, and Frank is just a romantic. We shouldn't judge him too harshly. Oh, his credits are amazing. Oh boy. Ooh. So he was in Erotic Flash and Erotic Blues, which whenever you have an erotic flash, the first thing that happens to you is you get the blues. The erotic blues. La Amante Bisex. Can't imagine what that's about. But yeah, he is really, this actor is so committed to, like, were there serial killer films around this time to give an example of, like, how would he find this weird performance? Because one thing when you read about serial killers is they're lame and boring. They're not these creepy monsters. They're obviously dangerous, but they're so annoying and boring. And like, he just plays it so perfectly in this film. Oh my God.
Yeah, because he has this almost like childlike nature to him.
Yeah. So he's in love with Cinzia Monreal, also butchering her name, as you would, but she's in the hospital dying of a heart condition, I believe.
Yeah.
And she was like, we need to make love right now, bro, because I think I'm dying. and they almost get going, and then she does, in fact, drop dead. Oh, and of course, much like a certain psycho, played by Anthony Perkins, he's into taxidermy.
Yeah.
Which my wife was very keen on pointing out. She's like, taxidermy and embalming are two different things, right? And I'm like, yes. Maybe
don't ruin the illusion of the film.
Don't tell the movie that, but come on. But he's not alone in his madness. This Frank guy. He's got his Iris, played by Frank Astappi. You made this a Frank Astappi double feature.
I did, yeah. I was like, you got to love Frank Astappi. She's one of those kind of like unsung people of Italian horror cinema. She's so good, like in everything that she's in. Oh, like one look, and you're like, oof. She's like, I don't know, because she was such a nice person in real life, like really dedicated to like animal rights and like helping people and like all these. She was so like a lifelong vegetarian. She wanted to be a nun. Not like the evil nun from the other hells we'll get into.
Dude.
But yeah, but she can play these like incredibly dark characters. It's quite a talent, like to see how she can play like completely the opposite of who she is or who she was even.
Well, I don't think she was on set for that baboon hanging from the freaking ceiling.
Well, no, this is the thing though. Apparently, right? Whenever she filmed, the directors had to get her off the set because she would like try and intervene about animal rights.
Oh, good for her.
And that baboon was real.
Of course it was.
Yeah, but they just injected it.
See, this isn't a Jess Franco movie where it would have been like a stuffed bear or something with like a monkey face on it.
Yeah, they just were like, oh, we'll get a baboon. We'll just keep injecting. I don't know how long it takes for a baboon to wake up from being sedated, but they just kept like sedating the baboon for that scene.
Well, they did. So they didn't just straight up. They couldn't afford to kill the baboon. They had to like return it to the freaking zoo later.
Yeah, presumably, because that's if you. It's like on that interview with Frank Astappi on the Beyond the Darkness Severin release.
Wow.
And she's just like, yeah, they kept injecting the baboon. And you're like, who? Like, I guess that's better than killing said baboon.
Yeah,
but
I will
also
give
that's
them.
Quite messed up.
If that's true, I will give them points. Congratulations.
Yeah. So they just had a vet on the side of the production who would just kind of come in and give him a wee injection. But you're kind of worried that the baboon would wake up as it was hanging from the rafters.
Nice. That would also be terrifying. That would be Shakma. That'd be like that movie Shakma.
Yeah, Shakma, yeah.
So she was in both Women's Prison Massacre and Violence in a Women's Prison. So
she was, yeah.
That could have been the whole next stage of her career. She could have come to America and done some more WIP films.
She played nuns. She kind of had a phase of playing nuns in The Other Hell and The True Story of the Nun of Monza. And then I suppose there's similarities, isn't there? And then she went on to be in the Women in Prison films. Her career kind of slowly petered out after that because I guess they weren't making as many exploitation films. But it's a bit of a shame because she was really, really good in all the roles she played.
She missed her chance to be in some frickin' what would it be? Post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, that would have been funny.
She could have been the one nun left in this haunted frickin'... I'm just writing a movie. I'm sorry.
You're just going with it.
Baboons aside, when good old Cinzia Monreal, when she dies, Frank steals her corpse so that he can... first he injects it with some mysterious fluid, which we assume is going to be a preservative-type fluid, like... oh my God. I keep wanting to say morphine. What is the stuff?
Well, the stuff to preserve a dead body from, like, I don't know.
Oh my God, it's right on the tip of my tongue. This is so silly. Formaldehyde. Woo, there it is.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was worried.
Boy, that was rough. See, speaking of getting old, just reach for those words, bro. The cemetery that they filmed in looks so damn familiar. Where her funeral is, it looks like the one from like Sweet House of Horrors and a couple of others. I don't know where it was.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure where the cemetery is because the film, I believe, was filmed in Bracciano, which is not too far from Rome, but I think it's supposed to take place on the border.
Yeah, it's like very North Italy on the border with...
because you can see like people wearing kind of like Austrian like hats at the dinner party and stuff. So I presume we're kind of supposed to be in that area. But yeah, we're near Rome in reality. But it looks good. It looks right for what it's supposed to be.
It says Schlob Ratzotz. I'm definitely not saying that right. So yeah, no, they've got that lederhosen flair going on with some of our tertiary characters. So yeah, this is lovely. I love when they just film some of these things in a weird location. Like you've got all the beautiful mountains in the background in a lot of this, and it just feels so European.
It feels very fresh as well, you know, when you're outside and she's like digging the grave. You've got nice blue skies, green grass. I don't know. I suppose it's quite like a contrast to all the griminess that's going on inside.
So instead of judging Frank for his corpse stealing, our pal Iris is very supportive, maybe a little too supportive, and she's like, "Yeah, dude, bring her on home. We'll keep her," because she loves him so much. Now, is she related to him by blood?
No, I think what's supposed to be, she's like the governess. So his mother was, you know, like the woman of the house. And then Iris has kind of either brought him up or, you know, was like the housekeeper. So she would have probably known him from a younger age and known his mother. So then she's kind of taking the role of his mother, like you see later, and she's putting on the mother's clothes and pearls. And she's obviously got a bit of an issue, though, with him and his motherly bond, because she doesn't really like him being in his mother's room and stuff. But early on, we see her kind of like, "Why are you in here?"
Well, leave it to a film with implied cannibalism to have implied incest.
Yeah, not too much of a surprise there. And then we get that really quite gruesome scene where she undoes her blouse and lets him suckle at her teeth. Oh God, I said that and I was like, "Oh, that sounds horrible." Also, I could hear my husband like coming in the flat as I say, like, "Suckle my teeth."
Excuse me? Who are you on the phone with? But like, and I'm like, is he getting milk out of there? Like, is she like got the? Has she managed to have the like the sympathetic pregnancy for like the first 21 years of his life?
Because it's weird, because you almost feel like, is there a sexual component or not? Because he seems to be seeing her as the mother figure, but she's obviously seeing him in this. Well, maybe she's, I don't know. It's, yeah, like you say, it's just basically implied incest or just,
It's hashtag complicated.
Yeah. So, and then we see her at the start, like you were talking about, when Anna, his girlfriend's in the hospital dying, and just before she has, like, I presume a heart attack or whatever. Excuse me. You see Iris, and she's at the table with this old, I was going to say old crone, that's not very nice, is it? Old woman. And there's pictures of Anna and like Francesco together, and then there's like a voodoo doll. Yeah. And they're putting the needles in, and then she dies. So kind of presume there's a slightly supernatural side there where Iris is trying to off Anna.
I really like the mild supernatural shenanigans. There's the big moment later where it's like, wait a minute, is this a ghosty movie? Loving it.
I know. Yeah, it goes really gothic, because I think Joe D'Amato, like in his work, his earlier work, there's more like of a gothic element as there is to all kind of Italian horror in the 70s anyway. So yeah, we have that. I won't go into probably now, but yeah, we have a really nice gothic moment later on.
Yes. So he steals the body. He picks up a hitchhiker who's very insistent. She just jumps in the vehicle when he's not looking.
Typical Americans.
While he's changing a tire. And I don't approve of tobacco joints. I don't approve of drug use and her bong, because she's
from LA, so you know.
She's rolling a spliff with a doobie and she's putting her bong in it. No, I don't know. But it's obviously tobacco she's packing into this cigarette. I'm so proud of her for acting stoned.
Quite a talent.
Whoa, nicotine's hitting me, bro. Whoa.
Getting into drugs and being high is a stupid thing to do. So being in control and saying no is not the easiest thing to do. Be an original and take a stand to a freak who say no. Don't let a friend push you into taking drugs. You got it right. You say no, right to say no.
So she passes out, almost sees the corpse hand from the back of his truck. I love this sequence where he just casually hides the corpse hand. Would have been very awkward to explain. And he immediately gets her back, gets his lover back, and starts doing one of the most graphic frickin' embalming scenes I've ever seen outside of an actual, embalming scene from real life stuck in a movie.
You just love sitting watching embalming scene, like real life embalmings.
I forget, there's a Spanish horror film Oh, it's called, doesn't have an embalming scene. It's called Swamp of the Raisins. I almost said Swamp of the Raisins, and then I said it. Swamp of the Ravens. And there's a moment where they go to the morgue, and they pull out a corpse, and the dude starts slashing the face of this corpse, like, huh, see, it's dead, ha, ha, ha. And it's like, whoa, 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 rewind. That was a real corpse. This is a real morgue. This movie just went to, like, how is no one talking about this fucked up shit? And it's just, for some reason, that movie stayed really obscure over the years.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I don't think I've ever heard of it.
It's a Spanish one. It's a Spanish one. It's got the poster art is better than the movie, but it's definitely worth checking out. And I swear that was not a fake corpse.
Who cares about ethics back in the 70s and 80s? Do what you want. Drug a baboon.
Come on.
Slice up a corpse. Fine.
Why
but
not?
actually, that autopsy scene was so realistic that people thought it was real.
Hey, they did good matching that pig with her skin tone. Because as soon as he starts cutting, you see the fat separating, and you're like, oh boy, this is where the bacon's coming from. But the moment that gets me is when he pumps her brains out, like the Egyptian style.
Yeah, with the tubes.
That is the scene where I was like, oh boy, that's rough, because it's just so chunky.
I know, because it's like, you look at it first and you're a bit like, it's like blood, and you're like, oh no, there's the chunks.
Oh my god.
And you've just had the guts and the heart that comes out of the middle. It's pretty graphic. I don't know. I'm trying to think what a modern audience would think of it, but I do think it stands the test of time. It's
unsettling.
Unpleasant.
And hey, you have to have a trigger warning for people who are scared of bony hips. You're gonna get bruised up when you're necrophiling it. I'm glad I said that sentence out loud. That was good.
Yeah, you were hesitating on that one.
So our pal, the hitchhiker, wakes up, sees him at his work, and instead of trying a little harder to escape, she decides, I can take this guy. And tries to attack Frank and scratches him, and he's very much about the punishment fitting the crime, so he rips her fingernails out. And I gotta wonder, is this the first time this has happened in a horror movie? 1979.
I mean, I kind of feel like it must have happened before, but I have a proper phobia of this. Like, I hate anything with fingernails. It's disgusting. And like, it makes me wince so much.
When a screenwriter has fully run out of ideas, they do the fingernail ripping thing. I just hate it. It's not even a thing that I mean, obviously I don't want that to happen to me, but like, I hate it in a movie, because it's like, yeah, all right, we're doing this. I am just down on the torture in movies. Like, obviously, if I know that it's going to be a torture film going into it because of the plot, I don't want to get sideswiped. Like was it Goodnight Mommy?
Yeah.
Where like 45 minutes of that movie is torture, and I was like, damn it.
I know, because it doesn't. Sometimes it just sneaks up on you.
We're all going to super glue our mouths shut after this podcast is over.
Ugh, I'm just looking at my fingernails now, and I'm like, just thinking about someone ripping them off.
Rachel, leave them in your body. They're God's gift.
But sometimes I get paranoid. I'm like, oh, if people hate me as a film critic, maybe they'll find out where I live and like rip off my fingernails. So I've said like I don't like it, and then I'll be on the news and they'll be like, oh, a film critic's dead and was killed like in a way that emulates like Beyond the Darkness, and my brains will just be in like a Fragments of Fear mug.
They will find you. We would all drink out of that mug. That's beautiful. No, they'll come to your house and they'll do the nice nails. They'll give you a nice manicure. Yeah, so
that'd be nice.
But it won't be a style you enjoy. It'll be really tacky, and you'll be like, all right, thanks.
Yeah, so yeah, that might be worse. Maybe I'll just get my fingernails ripped off rather than have like a tacky manicure.
Oh my god. So he kills the hitchhiker by doing my favorite thing in giallo movies, which is the 3-second strangulation or 3-second suffocation. Like,
yep. It's
a good thing people aren't this easy to kill, because all this torture she goes through, and then they're like, that was 3 seconds, stop. We got this. She's clearly dead.
She's done.
Or, maybe she had a chronic breathing problem from she had emphysema from all the
Yeah, she could have done, you
joints.
never know. Well, yeah, exactly, all the joints.
So
where's the explanation?
Ever the enabler, Iris helps him chop up the body, and I am just like, this woman is beautiful. You know, you've got Cinzia Monreal, who's like this weird skinny statue, and you've got this like robust Italian woman who is like so proud of herself, and like, you go girl, because she has like no tan lines. And I'm like, that's so impressive. Like, I love that this movie shows that women have different kinds of bodies, Rachel. I might be thinking.
Does that make you feel happy? Yeah, you're going in some sort of like, well, you could, make an argument about portrayals of different female forms and Beyond the Darkness.
Ahead of its time.
It was ahead of its time.
God bless him. Yeah, I totally got myself into a corner there. I didn't know how to get out. But so they cut up the body, and only he gets to wear the cool mask to keep from dying from these acid fumes. That's not cool.
It's because he's a bit of a wuss, but she's just straight on in with her cleaver, hacking away, blood all over her face. Yep. That's probably one of the most memorable images, though, isn't it? It's just like her chopping off the arms. She grabs the head, throws it in the bath. Just, she's a woman that gets things done. When
I did screenshots from this movie, because I reviewed this years and years and years ago, I had screenshots from this, and that moment of her getting the blood spraying her in the face was just one of the first ones I took. It's so good. I mean,
yeah, it's great.
But this movie, oh my God, I love when Joe D'Amato says, cinematographer, I'm that guy, and the director, because he always brings it. We'll get into that when we get into that.
Yeah.
Then we have the implied cannibalism scene, which I wrote in my notes as, girl, I love watching you eat.
Lovely.
And I just full on assume that she saved some of the hitchhiker to chomp on, but we don't see that happen.
Yeah, I know, it's that kind of thing where it's like, could it be something? Maybe it's just normal food, who knows? But I do know in real life it was soy because she's a vegetarian.
Dude, that's so cute. And it adds to the movie because you're so deep into this weird, claustrophobic, disgusting nightmare. And I bet people got nauseous watching her eat.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because it's really grotesque. I know, you can, because I love the like contrast where you've just seen like her chopping up this body, like throwing it in like, acid, and then we're straight to the slop that looks exactly like what was in the bucket. It's just like, I think it's quite clever. I mean, like groundbreaking, but yeah, it's effective. Like you say, it just creates that like nausea that's going on throughout the film as you get more and more depraved with your murders. And
so we find out that she has magic fingers because in order to make his tummy feel better, she pleasures our pal Frank, further attaching her to him in this sick, psychosexual nonsense that we are knee deep in. And I just, man, there's nothing this movie doesn't really go for. I mean,
just goes for all the taboos, doesn't it?
Yes.
You were talking earlier, sorry, I'm probably just taking us off course.
Please do. There is no course.
We were saying like, there's like, I was like, we're not doing like kind of films in the giallo vein, but obviously there's elements here and in the other hell, and then you've got this kind of, so you've got this like funeral director who's running around trying to solve the mystery because he saw him injecting the formaldehyde. He just kind of peeped around the door, dude. And now he's like doing his own little sleuthing.
I love this private investigator / funeral director is like, it turns out he's like just in it for the money. His whole game was to collect like a reward for the corpse. I don't understand him at all.
Yeah, well, I came across something when I was like researching this, and it was I think like I might not be 100% right, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe he wasn't an actual actor. He was a local businessman who wanted to be in a film. So I think he paid money to be in this film, and that's like his little go at acting.
Oh, he picked a doozy.
So I was like, well done, like to be involved in one of the most infamous Italian horrors of the time. But yeah, I presume the character was written beforehand and somehow he just got wind of it, or I don't really know how.
Totally insane, because I just assume he's going to the cops, but the cops are, they're not doing anything with this weirdo.
Yeah, you feel like he's a concerned citizen, right? And he's like, I want to preserve like the Sanctitude. Yeah. You want to preserve sanctitude, like my work as a funeral director and protecting these corpses from the crazy necrophiliac, but yeah.
He's just another sellout. What the hell?
I know, terrible. Everyone's in it for the money. So it's quite I like that dimension though to the film. It's like that added threat of who this guy is and what he's up to, and then there's a nice kind of twist with it.
Yeah, he's the best. So
you love him.
We get this jogger, and what is rule number 1 of jogging, Rachel?
I don't know what is rule number 1 of jogging.
Don't jog. It's dumb. It's bad for your knees.
Okay, yeah, you tricked me with that one.
Yeah, I got a couple more jokes. Not too many.
I thought it was going to be something about don't use that app that everyone does when they're showing off their running routes.
Look where I am.
I think it was called. I know. Wow, look, me, I've run all this way.
Everyone come kill me. So
jog.
He picks up this jogger, and I don't know who this actress is, but she is just stunning.
Yeah, she's very in the mold of Frank's Anna, isn't she?
She's
all the women are actually. They all kind of have that look. Not I know the women we've talked about haven't previously, but yeah, his next victims all have a certain look.
This is Anna Cardini, if IMDb is to be believed, and she was in a few things. She was in one of those weird frickin' Thomas Million movies, his Nico character.
Yeah.
What that is a whole thing. He made comedy giallo movies, and I had no idea that they have a typical giallo formula, usually minus the black gloved killer, but they're full on mysteries, but there's going to be Thomas Million disco dancing.
And his little strange outfits. I know there's so many of them.
Oh, that was his, once he found that character, apparently that made him even more famous than he already was. And that's why he kept playing that over and over again. And God bless him.
And they're so popular, because I have Italian TV, and every time you switch on a weekend, it's one of his films is on from that era. It's crazy, and then you kind of forget the person he was before, because it's you're just so used to seeing him as that character.
Yeah, he has this groundbreaking, extreme, really disappearing into his roles, and then he just said, "This is hard work. I'm gonna grow my afro out and just do some shit."
Yeah, and some of the scenarios in those films are pretty mad. Some of them are quite racist, but as you'd expect.
There's always horrible gay stereotypes. There's always a racist character. It's no.
Every time you're watching it, it's whenever I hear somebody say Japan, I'll be doing something on my computer and I'll hear on the TV someone go, "Oh, Japanese," and I'll be "Oh my God, what's happening?" Because whenever I hear someone say Japanese, I'm something bad's going to happen. Something bad is happening in this film.
They don't make them like that anymore, and it's a good thing.
Yeah, well, still not the most progressive in some of their films and TV. But
oh, brother.
I know.
So after he brings this girl home, she's up for it. It's he's erotically applying some lotion to her sprained ankle, and he's trying to get to her, and she's whoa. Finish wrapping up my ankle before we get to the good stuff. And then he has to make love to her while in the room, while uncovering the corpse of his love, which is dude, just use your imagination.
Yeah, he has to get off with his living doll.
That's fine. That's fine. But she does not like this, and he bites her throat out, and it is pretty gruesome.
Yeah, it's quite a strange moment. Because, it's those little bits of cannibalism almost that come in. And,
oh, yeah. I always forget that that's not implied. That's just cannibalism.
I know. It's is that? Yeah.
She was delicious. She is clearly tasty. It reminded me of the throat-ripping scene of Zombie. Because it's just a gusher. And it's actually, I think this would be a garden hose versus the fire hose of Zombie, but still very impressive.
I know, because it feels almost unexpected, doesn't it? Because you feel like it's something you'd see in a zombie or a cannibal film more than in something that's taking place in a wee town on
wherever
the border.
We are.
Yeah, I know. So it's Blackiana, we're not there.
So he throws her in the crematorium, and this is apparently the scene, the one thing I got from the interview I read with our pal Joe D'Amato was that they thought that it was a real corpse because when the flames kick in, the actress does this death dance where the nerve endings are still reacting to the stimuli of being burned, and so she's folding herself up. And apparently that was a little too real for some people who thought they just threw this poor woman into the fire.
Into the burner.
And this is why I'm like, how the fuck was this not a video nasty? Like, I don't need everything to be a video nasty, but like the things that ended up on the list for no reason other than their cover art versus something like this that is truly, truly upsetting.
I'm not sure what the story is there, though. I'm not sure if it's because it was never released, like
in England,
in the UK. I don't know it. Yeah, I think it. Yeah, because you feel sure it would have been. I just feel like it must have not been.
And it did have
released.
Some censorship stuff in Germany and a couple cuts in Italy.
In Italy, yeah. So it was deemed as a bit too much, even by Italian standards back then.
So the cops show up to question, and then ever the cool cat, Iris is like, yeah, come in, search your place. I don't care. Don't get a warrant. Get your ass in here. So they go to
Confidence
the basement.
Is key.
Yeah, confidence. Yes. They go down to the basement, and I did not know this. You can bribe a police officer with a squirrel. Just have a stuffed squirrel ready.
Wasn't it? I'm just trying to think of his collection of animals. I was quite impressed by the marmoset. I think it's a marmoset, right?
It's wild. It's like freaking Norman Bates is like, oh, you're fancy. Okay, whatever. But that immediately stops the search. The cop tries to go, oh no, I don't want it. It's so nice. And she's like, here, let me wrap it for you. And she's of course hiding the shoe, one of the jogger's shoes, because they're searching for the jogger. And
it's a bright red shoe.
And she wraps up the squirrel, and that's it. We're out of here. Thank you, good citizen.
And they don't seem that bothered that there's this whole like taxidermy operation. I guess like it is a real job, but you'd think you'd be a bit more disturbed rather than being like, oh yeah, squirrel friend for me. I'll put on my mantelpiece.
Yeah, we just don't know. That's an Italian thing. That actually that squirrel is stuffed with lira.
Maybe that's what it is. That's how you do a bribe there.
Oh boy. Then we have the weirdest party ever. So Frank straight up tells Iris, all right, as long as I can keep my lady of the moldering corpse variety, you and I can finally get married and be together forever. So they have an announcement party, which the interviewer in, of course, I tried not to reference it because we talked about how I wasn't going to go there. Spaghetti Nightmares, the Bible of the Doom Show, Luca M. Palmerini and Gaetano Mastretta. They're interviewing Joe D'Amato, and they ask, like, so the scene at the party scene is very reminiscent of Freaks. Was that intentional? And Joe D'Amato's like, I think so. I had just watched that movie right before we filmed it. And I'm like, sure. Why not?
Just throw it in.
Go for it. We got someone polishing their dentures. We've got a lady with a marvelous mustache. All of Iris's pals are way older than she is. So.
No, very strange.
Maybe she just doesn't get along with the younger people. Like, people my age think I'm a moron, so my friends tend to be younger. Maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. I should be friends with some oldies.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean,
take that as your inspiration.
I mean, I don't think I know anyone older than me, so that's weird. They go to announce this wedding, and everyone's so proud and happy for her. No one realizes how truly sick and bizarre this shit is. And he just bails on the party. She gets drunk, and our pal, the private investigator funeral man, is snooping, and he finds the body, and he does my favorite thing. He just busts out the camera and gets the most beautifully composed shot of the corpse on the floor ever.
Gotta get your evidence. It's like, important. He's an amateur photographer in his spare time. Fine.
I've really got an eye for this shit. This is nice. And it's around this time that Sis shows up. So we get 2 Chinzias for the price of 1. Yep. As the sister, who's her twin sister, shows up. I do not remember why she shows up at all. Do you have any idea what she's doing there? Is she looking for the body too?
You know, now you're saying it, I'm like, I can't remember. I swear there was a reason, though.
Needless to say, she should not be there because she's either cock-blocking or just murder-blocking Frank, because he's got another girl. He's picked up the disco girl.
Yeah, the one that goes with him really easily back to his house. Yeah.
Yeah, she's not interested in living very long at all. But she's away. She gets to bail.
Yeah, so... Lucky escape.
Oh, snap. So that actor, you ready for this? That Simonetta Allodi, guess what she was in? She was in that 1980 made-for-TV giallo we just talked about from Aldo Lato.
Have all these connections.
What? And I keep saying it's made for TV. I don't actually know that, but I'm just wondering why it's an hour.
It was made. Yeah, it was broadcast on television. So you're right.
Sweet. Dude, it's all coming together. That's why you picked this movie.
Yeah, there you go.
So she shows up, and we have our big supernatural shenanigans where she hears her sister calling to her. And we have my favorite sequence in this movie. Speaking of that gothic stuff you were talking about, she's wandering around the house with the power cut, with a flashlight, looking for the spirit of her sister, not realizing that it's the corpse of her sister. And Iris disappears for a few minutes, and I'm like, is Iris doing this? Is she pretending to be her sister and calling out to her? We never establish what's going on.
Yeah, I feel like the implication is it's Iris, isn't it? Because she's obviously annoyed that she's turned up and thinks it'll throw her plans into kind of chaos.
Because Frank's like, yo, I'm ready to trade in the old model for the new one because it's like alive.
Yeah, no more like living doll. Well, not living doll.
Dude, is he ready? I don't think he's ready. Like, you gotta at least like sedate somebody before. If you're used to corpses, you can't have a live one.
Well, he's been trying. But just every time at the point of orgasm, he just has to kill them. So he's still trying to work that situation out.
Hey, dude, relatable. I mean, no, it's not.
There you go. letting your little fetishes get into the podcast.
The police are right outside. I've got a whole bunch of squirrels. So yeah, the whole sequence where she finds her sister's corpse is so beautiful. It is it's morbidly beautiful, freaky. Oh my God, I love
so
this
atmospheric.
movie.
Yeah, it's great.
And then the PI shows up again after the battle royale between Iris and Frank. Does she full on stabs him in the dick?
Yeah,
right?
She stabs him in the groin. I think it's a kind of like because he's like tied. Well, this is my interpretation. Like like tied to your mother's apron strings. She's like the surrogate mother. So then she stabs him in the groin. So it's the whole kind of that thing going on.
If she had survived, her autobiography could have been From Hand Jobs to Knife Jobs. Why I Stabbed the Groinal. I don't know what that is. But they have more biting. He bites her cheek open, which is nuts.
Yeah, and there's the whole business with the eye.
She rips his eye out. Oh, jeez. And then, of course, he takes the knife from her and plunges it into her heart. And then we get a little body switcheroo. Folks, I hope you've seen this before because
spoilers, but spoilers all the way through.
This is the big moment where our PI guy shows up. He can't find any trace of Iris, but he does find the body, the stolen body, in the white gown, and he wraps it in a sheet and makes a break for it. Oh, of course, Frank sees him with his one good eye and then drops dead.
Of course.
I mean, if this had been successful, though, would he really have died? We would have had a sequel, boy. Anthropophagus 2 style. Like, I love another thing with that interview is, like, Joe D'Amato's like, oh, Anthropophagus, that didn't make any money. It's like, why the fuck did you make a sequel, you liar?
I mean, in fairness, Joe D'Amato made a sequel to Copsucker 1, Copsucker 2, so I don't think Copsucker 1 did that well. Maybe wrong. Maybe it was set the home video pornography market alight.
Dude.
Yeah.
God bless him. He just like Jess Franco, he made a whole bunch of movies I'll never watch.
I know. Well, this is the thing. I was actually like thinking about this. No, actually, yeah. Yeah, no, he did do Copsucker 1 and 2. For when I was like, but he's got so, like, that's the thing, he's did so much in the 90s that I feel like maybe one day I'll, like, try and watch it all, but maybe not. It's because it's all, like, Hercules, like, a sex adventure. And I think there's a film also called 120 Days of Anal. It's another one.
Dude, if you don't tap out after 110, you're a strong person. It's
like maybe there's a podcast idea in there somewhere, just, like, talking about every single Joe D'Amato film from the 90s.
Can I unvolunteer for that? Can I make sure you don't call me for that?
I mean, you don't want to talk about those esteemed titles?
No.
Yeah, he just really went into that whole kind of pornography thing, as many did, so
Dude, I mean, hey, whatever pays the bills. Like, people have said, like, other Italian directors have said he was one of the most successful and one of the richest guys because he didn't blink. He's like, yep, that's where the money's at. See you.
Yeah.
Bye, horror.
He worked so much as well. He did so many of those films. Like, it's crazy how many he did in the 90s. Yeah.
I think the last horror he did was that Frankenstein one?
Frankenstein 2000. Well, and it came out in 1992, didn't it? Frankenstein 2000.
Yeah, he was, and that, so far as I know, is not pornography.
Well, I guess that's when the industry really like fell on its kind of, it just died.
God,
so
yeah, dude,
had to like diversify.
I think they talk about that in those Italian Gothic horror books about like what happened, like why everything fell apart, and it's crazy. So one of the leading outputters, is that even a word, of cinema in the world just comes to a complete stop in the 90s. Terrible.
Yeah, sad. And then got such talented directors like Bruno Mattei fleeing to the realms of pornography. Well,
yep. And we've all fled there for other reasons.
Did you say gotta go where the money is?
His was financial. We get our big stinger ending, which I love how both of these films we're going to talk about have our big stinger.
It's important.
One is more effective than the other, I will say now.
Spoilers.
It's this one. And she is, of course, is not the dead sister. They were about to bury the live one, and she sits up screaming, and we get the freeze frame, the end.
She flies out that coffin, yeah.
Boy, I love that she makes it. Of course, she's driven completely insane, but she lived, and that made me happy.
It's very Carrie-like, isn't it, at the end?
Yes, and that's the influence of Carrie will be all over the next film we talk about. But before we get to it, the shocking thing about this is that this is a freaking remake.
Yeah, of Mino Guarini's The Third Eye.
Which is an excellent film, which I am waiting for a Blu-ray of that to drop one of these days.
Yeah, that would be a good one to see. So Franco Nero-led film with Erica Blanc. And it's a really, if you've not seen it, it's a really good film. You should check it out. And it's a bit tamer, shall we say, than what came after. But Judd Mato was good friends with Mino, and hence why he kind of remade the film with his own special elements. I
look forward to revisiting The Third Eye because I have seen that once, years and years ago. And I just want to see, like, where are the hand job sequences? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I think that was, a bit too forward for the time.
Just a little. The score for this, of course, was done by them old goblins.
The Goblins.
Another connection to the next film is they just used a bunch of music from this.
So I tried to find two films that connected with one another. I think we've done quite a good job finding all the connections.
You got Frank Astapi, you got this Goblins action, and this music, man, it is like, do you think Goblin was privileged enough to see this movie without music and were actually like writing to the sequences of this film? Or do you think they just were like, here's this brown paper package in the mail and it's the tapes for the music of the movie? It had no connection to it whatsoever.
Yeah, probably that.
But it's so good. Like, I love the weird, there's the progressive rock scene. People don't know, dude. Like, it was completely batshit crazy in the 70s. Every country has their band and 1,000 other bands you've never heard of. If you look for them, there's a few channels on YouTube that are nothing but progressive rock. And the stuff coming out of Italy and the UK that just aren't famous, it's staggering how much of that crazy music you can find. Of course, a lot of them have crazy ass vocalists, which can be a little like everyone was trying to copy Peter Gabriel era of Genesis. So like it was all this like weird, trippy, like hippie stuff. Trippy hippie? Yep, I said it.
Yeah, it's fine.
But man, this score, and if you like it, we're gonna hear it again.
I really like that kind of like progressive rock and horror films. I think it works really well.
Yeah, and anytime a modern film goes there now, like like Beyond the Black Rainbow, or
Mm-hmm.
to a much more Pink Floyd extent, Doctor Strange. They did some very nice old style prog rock, and I was like, yay.
Yeah, because it's quite unusual to hear it now. But yeah, back then it was like everywhere. I guess because I think of it as like my parents' generation, like that was like, the music that my dad was listening to and stuff. So I guess, like you were saying, it was just everywhere, wasn't it? So
yeah, it drove people nuts, especially music critics were like, no more progressive rock. That's why punk rock just put an end to that shit.
yeah.
Oh, we can get out of here in 2.5 minutes? Thank God.
I know, because it's one of those things when you see like younger generations, sometimes they're a bit funny about like, I think most people do love Goblin, but sometimes people are a bit like, maybe not just Goblin, but like progressive rock in that year of horror films are like, oh, I don't like the soundtrack, it's too ridiculous. So like I'm thinking of like Inferno. You get a lot of like criticism about Inferno's soundtrack.
Dude, I'll tell you what, I recently I have a music room with all my guitars and all my crap in it, and I always trash it whenever I'm doing a music project. And I grab a record, and I throw a record on, and I listen to a record while I'm cleaning. And I picked, very poorly one night, I picked the Inferno soundtrack. And it wasn't scary so much as wildly unnerving in the quiet side of the house at night. It just made me really upset.
Really? That's interesting.
And I was like, this music is so effective. It's such an effectively freaking bonkers score. I mean, good Lord.
I know, it's like that bit in the taxi when you see Eleanor and Georgie's like Sarah, like in the taxi and that music's playing. Like, I can see why people might be like, oh, it's ridiculous. But it's also like, you say, like, really, it's just jarring because it's like sounds that you're not used to hearing and like sounds in that context that you're not used to hearing. And there's something really like clever about it. That's
what's so refreshing about modern films with a cool score. Like I'm a totally shameless synthesizer music score lover. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I love synths.
It's just all that 80s shit packed into my brain. I'll never get over it. But even just music that's different and like not sounding like your traditional strings and the beats, I love just like weird stuff. There's a little movie that came out recently called The Stylist.
Yeah.
And the score is just fantastic.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And I really like the score to Saint Maud. I thought that was great.
Ooh, I still haven't got to that. I'm so bad.
All right, okay, you should check that out because that's got a good score. It's got some good bands on it as well, like Gang of Four, I think, or in a tiny bit. Yeah, so it's really cool. Yeah, definitely check that out.
I love Gang of Four, dude. So yeah, I'm all about that. That's amazing. But yeah, thank you for picking Beyond the Darkness. It is like a singular film in this era. Like, I mean, obviously, I love Anthropophagus. I love Rosso Sangue. I'm a huge fan of Death Smiled at Murder. That's in like my top 10 favorite films of all time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, cool.
Joe D'Amato was on a tear in this era, and I think he just didn't want to be the horror guy, or he just, like we talked about, he just didn't see the money in it. He saw the tide turning away from this trend before anybody else did.
Yeah, it's like, I guess you get different type of filmmakers, don't you? And I think Joe D'Amato is more of like a journeyman director. He would just kind of go to what he thought would make money and would be popular, or where he could push the boundaries. So we're grateful for him. Because I think with Beyond the Darkness, his objective was to disgust people, to shock people, which he did and is still managing to do. So I don't know if that's the same with Copsucker.
If this doesn't end up on like your top 50 most extreme films list, then you haven't seen it, because this stays unsettling even after all these years.
Yeah, and I think there's that weird romanticism to the film, like the way it starts off with, maybe you'd expect a film like this to start off with something really gruesome, but it's that way, like he's there in the hospital and she's like, make love to me before I die, and there's this like element of melancholy, and then you feel like everything he does is partially motivated by this love for his dead girlfriend, and how he kind of wants to preserve her slightly, because at the start she's like, she says to someone like, make me look healthier, and then he's like, not him, but Iris is doing her nails, and yeah, it's like kind of trying to preserve his love. So, and she has this kind of love for like Iris has this love for him, so it's a bit like a morbid love triangle. So even though it's like extreme and crazy and ridiculous, like there is that element there as well, which is quite an interesting component.
Well, you make Valentine's Day very special. You're a very romantic person.
I know, I'm trying.
We need to talk about the sequel to this film called The Other Hell, which is not a sequel.
a sequel in our podcast. It's a sequel to our discussion.
It's a sequel in music scoring.
And Frankenstein.
One of the most infamous dudes, frickin' Bruno Mattei, teaming up with his boy, Claudio Fragasso, of Troll 2 fame. And this is... I don't really like the trailer for this one. It's more of just clips of the movie. So I'm gonna skip that for your ears' sake. But I do have the VHS here of The Other Hell. Again, in my virtual collection, in my Googleizer. And dudes, this is so good. This company that put out this VHS tape is called Lettuce, like the green leafy lettuce, but it's Let Us Entertain You Incorporated.
That's grim.
My dad, who was like the most, like the driest, lame dad jokes, just sat up out of his grave and was like, no, dude, cut that. That's terrible.
Even that one's too far.
Here's the plot from the back of the tape. A series of brutal murders and mutilations in a dark, forbidding convent has the sisters terrified as one person after another is horribly murdered. Not even the investigators sent by the church are safe from this horrible fate. The story takes a bizarre twist as the dead start returning to life, and the sisters know that they are in, quote-unquote, the other hell. This gripping tale of suspense and horror will keep you on the edge of your seat and out of the dark. We suggest you watch this movie with a friend you trust, or none. It doesn't say or none. I added that part.
I was going to say, you've ruined it for me.
I'm creative. But dude, this is 1981 and oh brother. This is a first time watch. So folks, got to give a shout out to my pal Tyler, friend of the show. He actually just randomly sent me this in a big pile of movies one day. He's like, hey, I have too many movies. You want some stuff? And I said, of course. And The Other Hell was in the pile. And he's like, have you seen that? I'm like, nope. He's like, good luck. Oh boy. And I didn't need good luck. Well, I needed good luck for a couple of sequences in this to get me through, but we are back with our goblins with the same music.
Yep.
Although they're doing some interesting stuff. They've taken, I want to say it's not all like the score from Beyond the Darkness. It's also from their record called Roller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're playing some of it at the same time. So you have this pretty funky music. I almost said play that funky music, white boy, but I didn't say it. But they're actually like playing some of the more funky stuff on top of the creepier shit. So you've got this melange of like weird music coming at you.
Yeah.
In this movie.
It's an interesting choice, but yeah, it's cool. It's different.
Ooh, it's very different. I love it.
So we like different, as we said.
The English dub for this is magnificent. Like the English dub for Beyond the Darkness, very serious, very serviceable. This is out there. I love when the voice actors I just can't imagine they aren't having fun with this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, it's beautiful. The beginning is one of the most disjointed, confusing beginnings ever. There's a nun. A flashlight. So we got the flashlight connection. She's got a bunch of skulls, though. We are in these catacombs in Italy, which apparently are from the plague days. So these are real human skulls. And then we have the red flashing light that's supposed to be Satan.
The flashing eyes. Yeah, it's very, kind of like reminded me of the Black Cat. Luigi Kotsu's The Black Cat with the eyes.
It does. What it reminds me of is someone had this thing in their house that they thought looked weird. And so they filmed it, and they shouldn't have, because it looks really terrible. Because like, you can sort of see a face. I mean, you could definitely see the glowing eyes, but then it's just got this circle of glass around it.
Yeah. It was an interesting choice. Let's just put it that way. This is my favorite Bruno Mattei film, though, so...
Oh, hey, I'm not knocking the film. I'm just very confused.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, that's what's good. Like, from the very beginning, there's like a lot that's chucked at you. So, yeah, just kind of have to go with it.
She's creeping around, looking for her pal, calling out to her with the flashlight. She's looking around. She ends up in the basement of this church, and we have a naked, semi-nude nun, a corpse, and a lot of mad science-y gear all over the room, and bubbling cauldron and creepy green fluids running through beakers and whatnot. And I gotta say, of all the death metal bands that I saw back in the 90s, none Embalmer were pretty good. And they opened for Half Burned Babyface.
Lovely name.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. That's my jokes.
Yeah.
So we get this nun who is totally crazy, and it looks a lot like, is this Frankenstein or is this a different?
This is a different. Are you talking about sister is like Azunta? Yeah.
Yes. Is that okay? I'm so confused.
I know, because it's very dark in fairness. So there's lots of nuns about, and there's this other nun, and then there's like a mummified nun.
Oh my God. She's embalming this nun. She's ripping guts out from the lady parts area.
It's kind of like an abortion almost, there's thing they say, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't think that baby is going to make it.
Yeah. Basically, they're just hacking away at our reproductive organs because they're the kind of portal or like entryway into hell.
Wow.
Yeah, all evil comes from a woman's reproductive system. I can't remember exactly the quote, but it's basically, something along those lines.
When everyone knows it's really the gallbladder from Flesh for Frankenstein. Hey. She says the devil is in heaven, and I said, hey, that's news to me. I did not know about this development.
Would explain a lot.
But this is a Cinemech production. So the opening credits have started. We've got this like hilarious jump scares, which we're telegraphing. I'm sorry, folks. There's so much going on. I'm trying to hold it together. There's like 2 or 3 jump scares that will predict the end of the movie, thus making the end of the movie not effective.
It wasn't really necessary, that's for sure.
But so we get some credits, and we find out the name of the director is by Stephen Oblowski.
Yes, Stefan Oblowski.
Well, I forgot how prolific he was in the early 80s.
Yeah, he was everywhere.
But this is a Cinemech production. If Joe D'Amato had been involved, maybe this could have been a film mirage.
I always love to see film mirage come up.
Dude, that's the best. Like Jeffrey says in the show, it's like a film, but it's a mirage. This company, Cinemech, made The True Story of the Nun of Monza. Interesting. We've heard of that. And something called Rebels of Arizona, a Western from 1970. So not a very prolific company.
The True Story of Monza was made simultaneously with Other Hell, which kind of explains that. So they were shooting kind of simultaneously. Man,
and that's one thing. The locations for this like crumbling building / monastery is awesome. It's a character in and of itself.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Shenanigans are happening in this frickin' nunnery where you've got obviously a crazy nun is butchering people in the basement, but also there's supposedly possession. So you've got possessed nuns. And I'm going to say, I was shocked we had no sexy nuns.
Yeah, because I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen The True Story of the Nun of Monza?
I have not. I have not seen
that's
that.
Very much in that vein. It's lots of sex, lots of that kind of goings on, lots of like kind of sapphic encounters. But yeah, here it's totally different. It's very much more like on the horror kind of side of things where you don't really see, because you'd expect like from nunsploitation to be very much like kind of lots of lesbian encounters and nudity and nuns with their like half of their habits on and their breasts exposed and whatever, but none of that here. We're just more going for the whole kind of exorcist devil possession side of things.
Bruno Mattei was like, this isn't your mom's nunsploitation. This is 1981, y'all.
Well, the whole thing was like it was influenced by Inferno, right? Which is pretty clear to see. So yeah, it's very much more in the Inferno style of things than nunsploitation, despite being in a convent.
And the aforementioned Carrie, but we'll get to her later.
Yeah, of course.
There's going to be a lot of list. I have a lot of list making I did while watching this, just reacting to this film for the first time. So here comes some of my list. I got a slow-mo owl and stock footage. That's production value. I love it. We've got mannequins. We've got a whole room. We got creepy dolls later, but for now we've got a whole room where mannequins are hanging from the ceiling.
Yep.
There's a mysterious girl who is prepared for the pandemic. She's got her mask on.
She does.
And we've got a sleepy kitty. And I was like, guys, you're showing me a cat. You're showing me this cat over and over again. Don't mess around. Don't be getting creepy with that cat. And of course they do. But we got fake bats And, we even have, what's that thing called where, people bleed?
Stigmata.
No, it's like they bleed from their palms and they bleed from their ankles.
I think it's
like Jesus.
It isn't supposed to be stigmata.
No, it's called acupuncture. How do you not know that,
Oh,
dude?
yeah.
Oh, that felt good. Thank you. So yes, it's called stigmata. But I love these jump scares. Oh, they're so cute. Rah! They jump out of their coffins. Rah! We've got a creepy groundskeeper who looks really familiar to me. Who is that guy? Oh, it's Boris, and he's played by Franco Garofalo, no relation to the comedian Janine Garofalo.
Never heard of them.
But this dude, of course, he was in Hell of the Living Dead, Cult 38 Special Squad. Oh my God. Dude. Sex of the Witch, which I am really looking forward to reevaluating. I used to regard Sex of the Witch as like the worst giallo ever.
It's pretty,
And now that I know it's probably not the worst, but I'm looking forward to that Blu-ray.
Yeah, the Vinegar Syndrome release of it.
It's going to be wild.
I mean, we've got to thank Vinegar Syndrome for giving us stuff like that we would never thought we would see on Blu-ray.
Hey, they helped me clean out some stuff because those box sets were coming out fast and furious, and I was like, I got to get rid of some shit. So I started getting rid of all my budget movie compilations, like 50 movies.
Yeah.
50 terrifying horror classics. And I said, you guys got to make room for like 3 giallo movies, please. I didn't pick up the most recent one with the sister Ursula. I was like, I'm going to tap out. Did you do something in that set?
Yeah, I did the Killer Is Still Among Us.
Oh, see, that's the one I want out of those 3, though.
I know, well, maybe in a sale one day you'll pick it up.
Dude, I'm telling you. That, and I was avoiding that and the other, I think it's just called The Monster of Florence?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the 2, like, infamous...
Yeah, the Monster of Florence films.
Yeah, they made them while the crimes were still actively happening.
Yeah, Italians.
And they're both really good. I really like both of those movies.
Yeah, I think they're really good. I think The Killer Is Still Among Us gets a bit of an unfair reputation. I think it's I like it. I think it's good.
It's got some comedy in it, too. It's got, like, the funny stuff in it. I was like, was not expecting any, like, humor.
Yeah, it's good.
Hey.
Anyway, sorry.
Folks, buy me a copy. Buy me a copy. Help me help Rachel.
I know.
So our pal Boris keeps a bunch of doggies, and we have the least scary dog ever. So we get to meet our buddy, Father Valerio. He's been sent in to investigate all this insanity going on. And this is Carlo DeMejo. Love him. Weirdly enough, I haven't watched a film with him in a while, and my brain was like, oh, it's Hugo Stiglitz. And I'm like, how, because they both have beards? Like, how did I mix up?
Right, yeah.
That's really strange. So yes, I won't talk about that on a podcast for people to hear. But this is my boy from House by the Cemetery, Manhattan Baby, another Women's Prison Massacre alumnus.
Love that they're all tied together through that common strand.
Yay! And of course, he was in my favorite giallo of all time, The Dead Are Alive. Woo!
Is that your favorite?
Yeah, dude.
I never heard anyone say that that's their favorite. I'm not criticizing your opinion. I've just never heard anyone say that. So it's like, oh,
it's an outsider choice. I know a lot of people
like
who
that,
can't
though. I like that.
stand that movie. No, for many, 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 many years, it was Seven Bloodstained Orchids was my favorite giallo of all time. And then I watched it 30 bajillion times, and I needed to take it off of its pedestal for a little while. And dude, Dead or Alive, it's I think they made it for me specifically. It's just
for you.
But yeah, oh, beautiful. But yes, our pal Carlo DeMejo is here to investigate, get some shit solved. Well, so he thinks, and he gets run down by the cutest dog ever. This slobbery...
Like a wee fat thing.
Yes. This slobbery chunky boy, who's, I guess, some kind of a pit bull or something, just charges him, almost smiling, coming after him. And then when we get to Boris rescuing him, the dog is just laying on top of Carlo DeMejo.
But it's weird because you see other dogs like in the dog pen or the cages or whatever, and they're like the proper kind of like Doberman, like fierce dogs.
German
and then they choose that one. Yeah, just German Shepherds even. Yeah, and then you've just got like him being chased by that fat wee thing.
Maybe Carlo DeMejo's like, please don't send an actual attack dog after me.
Yeah, maybe it's like stipulated in his contract.
He has a little talk with Boris about what's going on, and of course Boris is like, I relate to animals more than people, but I'm still gonna cut this chicken's head off.
Good old animal violence in an Italian horror.
And hopefully that's the only real animal violence in this, because there's a staged one. I'm praying it's staged because it made me very upset. But yes, I know where chicken comes from. I'm one of those hypocritical animal lovers who still consumes meat. So I know where bacon comes from. It comes from chickens. Yeah. We have a nun bonfire, which, hey, this is basically a giallo, because every giallo has a hooker bonfire where the prostitutes are standing around a bonfire keeping warm. But this time we've got nuns burning stuff.
Yep, get the evil out.
Yeah, boy, and I guess it was like their old IKEA furniture that was possessed, because what are they even burning? I don't understand.
So basically, yeah, burning all the like furniture in the convent.
They want to redecorate. I thought we just had attack nuns, but we get full-on zombie nuns.
Yep, go for everything.
While all this is going on, there's a blob nun. There's a nun with no face.
Yeah, with holding the cat, right?
Yeah, she's carrying the kitty around, and I feel bad for this actress. I don't know if she could see with that thing on her face, so maybe she memorized how many steps it was to get to the doors.
I love the imagery with that though, because again, like you said, it's like influenced by Inferno, and that's obviously like a nod to Anya Peroni and her cat.
Oh man,
that whole thing of like, yeah, cats being evil and stuff, and that's like her familiar, and the cat appears whenever she's going to strike with her powers. So yeah, I really love that. That's one of my favorite images in the film, just when she's watching the cat. It's great, just having that, her face covered. Yeah,
and that opaque window on the door that she's like kind of like obscured behind. It's so good. Yeah. She's the 3.5 Mother of Tears.
Yeah, maybe she would have been better than Mother of Tears from the Mother of Tears film.
I know, the silicone boob job mom.
Yeah, as we all know her as.
Bless her heart.
So even though the film has some questionable elements, it does have some really cool imagery in it.
Oh, dude, and that's the thing. You picked a secret giallo because, we've got a series of murders. So like a priest is set on fire and people are getting stabbed. And you've got the frickin' mannequins. You've got creepy dolls. And you've got our detective, Mr. Father Valerio, Carlo DeMejo Valerio. He is like doing this weird thing where he's recording his thoughts. But he also has a film camera going.
Which is really cool. Yeah, it's almost like he's like, I don't know if it was made in a different time, if it'd be almost like a pseudo kind of documentary type thing.
Ooh, yeah.
But yeah, basically everything's being recorded. And you don't tend to see that in a film of this period, I would say. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, and then that comes to the fore later on. So there's this idea throughout the film about science versus, like religion and the otherworldly. And he's very much a man of science, and he has all his tech, and he wants to explain things in a rational way. So I guess coming back to the giallo mystery element, you're always wondering about how much of it, like, are the murders supernatural in nature, or are they just, the work of someone who's, just like a standard killer? So it's quite cool that you have that like fight between science and religion, and always wondering,
You try to get away from those old yellow films, they just keep pulling you back in.
Yeah, see, I think that's why this is my favorite, like, Bruno Mattei film, because I know he did like Madness and stuff, but like, yeah, this feels very much like in the vein of the giallo.
Oh, Madness, dude! Oh my god, that movie! Woo! Folks, check out Madness by Bruno Mattei. You have not seen anything quite like that one.
Yeah, I don't think like many people have seen Madness personally. It's like one of those ones that, it's a really odd, like, kind of 90s version of an Argento giallo. Well, it's basically Tenebrae, isn't it?
That'll be Forgotten Gialli Volume 62 or some shit. We'll get to it, I promise. We're Vinegar Syndrome. Hi. I don't speak for them. But dude, this we find out what happened. So what happened is our pal, Mother Superior, Mother Vincenza Francastappi, she had a child. And who the father was maybe Satan or not.
Boris or Satan.
Yes, or
or
Satan
both. Boris.
Yeah. We both went there. She was trying to protect her baby from, back when she was junior nun, from the Mother Superior at the time, who was like, we got to deal with this kid. We got to put him up for adoption, make sure he goes to a good home. No. This lady full on tries to shove this child into a boiling cauldron of water. and burns its face because, you can't slip stuff by Frankenstoppy. She's going to stop you from doing that. Made her name a pun. That's good. And so this poor child has grown up with burns all over her face. And of course she's a special child because she has telekinetic abilities.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
Dude.
Supernatural film.
Why not? So this is what has been happening. We've got this girl living in the bowels of this nun palace. And she's been, has she been killing people, or is it just our pal Nun, who's been our Mother Superior, who's been doing it? Do we ever find out?
Well, I think also, the whole idea of like the cat appears and then something happens, and then it's always like, like with the priest when he gets caught in the flames, it's like no one else seems to be around, and it seems supernaturally motivated. But yeah, it's a bit like you wonder, because it's always that, as I said, like, is it a human killer? Is it supernatural? Is it a combination of both? Is the daughter just innocent, or is she really the daughter of the devil? All these questions.
Alls I know is they kill the cat, and it looks poorly staged, which means it probably didn't happen. But the cat, Boris sicks his doggies on the cat, and the dogs are certainly good actors. It look like they're killing something, but you can't see it. And I'm just like, he holds up what looks like a cat corpse, but it looks homemade.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen cat corpses quite a few times in Jelly, so...
I'm like, oh my God.
I feel like maybe that's one step too far. Like, maybe they'll happily kill a chicken, maybe not a cat. And then also because Frankenstoppy loved cats so much, I'm going to just pretend that she wouldn't have allowed that.
See, and I'm a horrible hypocrite because I'm like, I'll watch Cannibal Man, and at the beginning of Cannibal Man, there's all this slaughterhouse footage. I'm like, well, that's where my cheeseburgers come from. But if you hurt an animal that's like a pet, I got a problem. So yeah, I'm an asshole. But dude, come on. I mean, you've seen my crunked up weird cat running around here.
Yeah, I know. How could you want to hurt such a thing? Evil Boris.
Oh my God. Boris, he gets his, the dogs attack him, rip his throat out.
Very like Suspiria. So another Argento kind of connection.
Oh, brother. I love it. I love the fake out where you think it's going to be okay. And then, there's a dog in the room with me. Oh, so cute. So we have a showdown between our little daughter, Carrie, and her mom. And she tries to stab her. And we get the most beautiful sequence. We have the creepy catacombs and the weird tunnels under the place with like that weird lighting, and everything's very mysterious. And she's just walking through this just beautiful freaking decrepitude of this building. And I'm like, man, this is what Italian horror is to me. Oh. And of course, mean old Frankenstoppy has to stab Carla DeMejo. Doesn't stab him in the dick this time, but she does stab him repeatedly in the leg. It's actually quite gruesome the way she stabbed you. You see the knife just going in and out of this horrible wound.
Yeah, and like Beyond the Darkness, she's kind of like demented with it.
Yeah.
So another like great image of her face just like covered in blood and the wild eyes. So yeah.
And that is one of the descriptors of this film. When we get to our little wrap up, I'll talk about it. But so she gets gotten by her own child, and it's just Carlo DeMejo screaming, and they hold the camera on him too long is one of the funniest things I have ever seen. Bless this movie for bringing it. It is so like, because the daughter bursts in and the light glows and everything, and he's just like, no. And it's like, hold it, keep going. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's really like, it's like you say, like a beat like longer than you're expecting, and it's quite weird.
So cute. It all ends in tragedy. Supposedly, he didn't die. He went totally insane. And of course, mother and her psychic Carrie daughter both die. And then we have another Monsignor, father, pope, I don't know, some guy, down in the catacombs talking about the events that led to this insanity with another nun. And you know that someone's going to jump out of one of them coffins. We've had zombie nuns. We've had zombie groundskeepers. We're going to have another pop out of the coffin, and it's already spoiled because they did it so badly earlier. And then sure enough, and we get the nun. barely lit this scene to begin with. So she pops out and you can barely see her, and it's the end. Oh my God.
It's another, like, ending where he's just like, we'll just leave it at that.
Oh boy.
Just that.
So, we got to talk about some of this cast before we get to I'm sure if there's anything I skipped from that plot by blasting through it, please feel free to bring them up. I believe we got Tom Falahy. Is it Tom Falahy or Tom Falahy? Do you have any idea?
Falahy, isn't it?
I believe
it's Irish.
Falahy.
Falahy.
Born in Budapest. This is 230 credits. If you made a movie without him, you didn't make a movie.
He's in a lot of films.
Oh, I do like how his last credit was from Fulci's Voices from Beyond as restaurant. What does it say? Restaurant manager.
I know. I hate when it's like something like that. You want it to be something cool, and it's like restaurant manager.
He may have been. It's been a while since I've seen that. He could have been a pivotal character in there. We talked about our pal Franco Garofalo. Paola Montero is one of the sisters, our crazy sister. Mm-hmm. She was in frickin' Twitch of the Death Nerve, aka Bay of Blood. My second favorite Mario Bava film. Oh my God,
there you
love her. Also, we got as Father Inardo, the guy who sends Carlo DeMejo to go investigate this shit. This is Andrea Aureli, who was in everything. He was just in everything. 164 credits. Oh my Lord. I love these prolific guys. I love to work.
So busy, yeah.
You wonder if he's one of those card-carrying, like, Italian Actors Guild people who's like, you get that funding if you cast them.
Yeah, I know. More than likely.
So what did I miss? Like, I obviously you went really fast through that movie. Any points of interest you wanted to talk about?
Just trying to think which bits to pick up on. Just like, again, back to the Inferno connection. I think it's obviously like Bruno Mattei was influenced by it, where he said he was. I know there's some discrepancies about, shooting schedules and how much of Inferno he saw. Like some people say it was like just a tiny, like he got wind of the production while it was being produced. But anyway, by the by. But yeah, just love all those like the nods to alchemy and mysticism, and like I said before about the science, and that's like really cool because even though like the film's ridiculous in many ways, there's this like attempt to try and like bring this idea into the film, and slightly Rosemary's Baby, like, isn't it? It's like spawning the devil and women spawning Satan and the evilness of their reproductive organs and whatever. Just always fun.
Yeah, I pick on it, but yeah, no, I really enjoyed this viewing, and I really do think that he was trying to make a point, because you've got this outsider who's like Mr. Carlo DeMejo, like he says things that would have gotten him excommunicated.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's very much about science and being like progressive in the church, and how we need to start believing that it's like people's psychology that's Satan, not Satan himself, which seems a very radical idea in the Catholic Church. He
literally says the only devil is in the mind, and I'm like, how do they not just rip his frickin' collar off? Like, you're out of here, brother. You're done.
But then that thing is, at the end, he's just turned into this babbling, raving person going on about demonic possessions. So in the end, the demons win over science.
They better.
And then there's that weird bit, like, just going back to, like, when we find out about Mother Vincenza and the baby, he's, like, we've talked before about the technology, but yeah, he kind of uses the technology to see that.
Right.
It's almost like a weird interference where like you see the kind of waves and then he sees it as it played out X number of years ago. I love that. I think that's just really weird, but I like moments like that.
You know what they could have done, and maybe this was like the idea to begin with, was so you have him filming a bunch of stuff and they would develop his footage later and find that psychic transmission of the events from the past. Like,
yeah,
those things were captured like through the psychic child who, she puts the whammy on the on the Mother Superior to kill her. Like, you wonder if like that, like she had the power to manifest things on video, just like frickin' Samara in The Ring. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
What did you say again? The psychic?
Oh, it was like a transmission.
Yeah, psychic transmission. I love that, like, just this idea that's in the film of psychic transmissions. It'd be cool if it got developed a bit further. But yeah, I like that. I think it's a nice touch.
When you do the commentary, you can take that.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think it's already had, like, Severin have released it. Maybe someone I don't know about the UK. Is it in the UK?
I'm still rocking the ancient frickin' Shriek Show DVDs for these things.
Oh, wow, okay. It looks good on Blu-ray though, like that bit when Father like walks up, to the doors, and you've got the emblems in the doors, and it's all like blue from the thunderstorm behind, and all the reds, and that's again why it's kind of similar to Inferno, though, isn't it? It's, the lighting scheme is quite similar, and then I'm trying to think did I make notes or something? I was like, just if there's anything else. Oh yeah, it's the same typography at the start, and the poster's the same. The poster is similar to Inferno's one, so there's a lot of Inferno connections there.
Well, let's see. Oh, hey. Well, I know this cinematographer from other things. I don't know him personally. This is Giuseppe Bernardini.
Yeah.
I want to say we just talked about him on an upcoming episode.
Intriguing.
Well, he shot Fatal Frames, as everyone's goal in life was.
Yeah, you know how well.
Oh, he shot Stigma, a.k.a. Stigma. That's what Brad and I are going to talk about pretty soon is
cool.
Good old Jose Ramon Larraz.
Yeah, which is cool. Yeah, it's good.
And of course, like every great filmmaker, he shot Dogley Afternoon.
Dogley Afternoon is another Frankenstein film.
Oh, George Eastman co-directing. What? And Frankenstein, like you said, oh my God, this is crazy.
Yeah, so all these connects back. Dogley Afternoon is something you probably have to have a strong stomach for.
Yeah, I mean, it's the title's intriguing.
Yeah, well, it's pretty, what you see is what you get with that title.
Oh, brother. Hey, folks, I'm still more necrophile than animal husbandry. But, dude, so this movie it's obviously sacrilegious, and it's got the wide-eyed craziness. That was what I was going to talk about, was just everyone is cranked up to 11 on this bad boy. This movie is grotesque. Like, it's really perfectly paired with Beyond the Darkness with it's like it's reliance on blood and gore in certain sequences. And of course, that opening embalming scene is just messed up, to say the least.
It does start out quite strongly.
And it's, I get the vibe from this. I'm always looking for that Italian horror, European horror vibe. But like, I just love that unique way that they approached horror, especially in Italy. It was always so interesting to look at, even when they had very little money to do anything.
Yeah, and you get something like this, which I know, like Bruno, like I went on Twitter yesterday and I was like, oh, what's everyone's favorite Bruno Mattei film? Because I felt like there's not really like a consensus on it. And then like people are always like, oh, Bruno Mattei's a shit director, blah, blah, blah. His films are trash. But then you pick up something like The Other Hell and it's like you say, like visually, I think it's an impressive film. Like there's some really cool bits. Like it's like nothing you've really seen before. Like that's what Italian horror is like though, isn't it? It's just very much like things you wouldn't expect to see in horror or just a certain distinct visual style. And The Other Hell definitely has that.
What else has he done? I mean, I love Shocking Dark. It's a little long in the tooth, but it is so fun. Just like its reliance on aliens.
Well, that's the thing. His films
and Terminator.
His films are always really fun. Like even if they're not like the best films ever, it's like you have fun with them, which is kind of what you want.
I am a fan of Madness. That movie is completely insane. Of course, I love Zombie 3 and whatever he and Fragrasso contributed to that along with Fulci is just great. I started watching Rats Night of Terror, but they kept setting the rats on fire and I had to bail. Killing animals is bad in films, but making them suffer? That ain't right, y'all. And of course, our boy, Paul Naschy, in one of my favorites is The Hunchback of the Morgue.
Yeah, it's a good one.
He full on sets rats on fire. And in interviews, he's like, fuck those rats. I hated those rats. They tried to kill me. Like
justification.
I love him. He's so friggin' nuts. But yeah, I think, God, I honestly think if you don't count Zombie 3, I think The Other Hell might be my favorite of his stuff I've seen.
Yeah, it's certainly up there. I would say it's one of his better ones. I don't know. I guess it's all your personal preference, but I think it's definitely my favorite. I do love Madness and Shock and Dark and Rats and stuff, but just because I love rats being set on fire.
Hey, that's your thing, man. I understand. Buddy, Claudio Fragasso, I mean, he's another one that's like just an unstoppable force of crazy shit that he wrote and directed.
The True Story of the Nun of Monza and Other Hell, as I said, were made simultaneously, and Claudio Fragasso was involved in both. I think he said himself that he was more involved with the Other Hell than Mattei gives him credit for. But that's, you always get these disputes about films, so it's hard to kind of pin down. You know, they're always like, no, I did this, I did that.
And see, that's a missed opportunity. Spaghetti Nightmares has no interview with Bruno Mattei. So sad.
I would really make that book just have some.
Fragasso did Monster Dog, which I'm a huge Monster Dog fan.
Oh yeah, Monster Dog's great, yeah.
The animal thing they did in that one was they didn't feed the dogs for a few days, and then they stuffed like meat and dog food in the dude's pockets. So the dogs attacked him, and they're like, dude, they're gonna kill him.
Which is so evil, yeah.
Speaking of movies that maybe overstay their welcome a little bit, Beyond Darkness from 1990, not to be confused with Beyond the Darkness. I'm really looking forward to seeing that again.
Yeah, 88 put out in the UK on Blu-ray.
Yeah, they did.
So that was an unexpected one, didn't it? You know, that's the thing. It's like, I don't know what I expect to see from Claudio Fragasso, but that wasn't yet one. It's like, yeah. What else? I'm just trying to think. He did
Zombie 4 After Death, which is, I almost said After Darkness. Freaking Zombie 4 is incredible.
Yeah. And Palermo to Milan?
Oh, I don't know that one. Palermo to Milan, One Way. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. That's actually seen as pretty decent. Like, it is pretty good. It's not what you'd expect anyway.
Oh, Giannini's in it? Oh my god.
Yeah, it's got a good cast.
It's got a guy in it named Ricky Memphis. Yeah, that's his real name. Come on.
And then there was a sequel to that as well. I can't remember what year it was now. But yeah, it was pretty popular. But I don't know how well known it is outside of Italy.
Cool.
Yeah. You have to tackle Claudio Fragasso at some point.
Dude, well, you know, Night Killer. I've never seen Night Killer. I have it.
Oh, there you go. Well, you're in for a treat.
Well, you know, I'm familiar with the Bollywood ripoff of Nightmare on Elm Street. Now I got to see the Italian ripoff of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, and there's a Nightmare on Elm Street. Is it Hungarian? There's a kind of, well, it's not like a ripoff necessarily, but it's kind of like an ode to Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy pitches up in it, you know?
Oh, boy.
I think it's Hungarian. It's Eastern European.
Man, they make the best Nightmare on Elm Street movies.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thank you for picking these movies. This was a crazy time.
No problem. It's been fun talking about them and all their craziness. So, yeah, it's good to talk about some pretty out there films, even by Italian horror standards.
Folks can find you at Hypnotic Crescendos, the blog, and Fragments of Fear, the podcast. What are some other things you want to talk about, like some stuff you've done you really want people to see?
Mostly, if you check my Twitter out, which is Rachael with AEL_Nisbet, then I tend to share all my news and stuff there. If you want to follow me and loads of tidbits about stuff to do with Italian horror. I'm just trying to think what I've done recently. Yeah, I would say check out the Mondo Macabro release of Pensione Pora, because I was really happy to do that commentary with Peter, and I think it's a good one. So yeah, I'd recommend the film. What else have I done? I did a piece on the production design in The Laughing Women.
Yes.
Which I would recommend checking out because it's such a cool, stylish film. And yeah, the commentary is Nothing Underneath, Madness. Oh shit, not Madness.
Well, you really want that to happen.
And Nothing Too Beautiful to Die. Nothing Underneath, Too Beautiful to Die, and The Killer is Still Among Us. Yeah.
Oh, you also wrote a piece for the recent Phenomena release.
I did a piece on Armani's fashions and phenomena, and I talk a bit about the world and phenomena and how they kind of inform what's going on in Argento's kind of vision of Switzerland if the Nazis won World War II.
Which is crazy because, you know, he has these things that he hides in his movies. Like, I love Schneeberry is supposed to be like this post-plague, post-apocalypse, so there's not many people around anymore, so murders are much more shocking.
Yeah, when you know that, it's like, it makes sense. The same kind of with Phenomena and the Nazi thing. It's not overt there, but like once you're told that, you're like, oh, I can see like how he's done that, which is what I really like about Argento. And sometimes people go, oh, like you can be over analytical about these films, which sure, of course you can, and I probably am. But then you hear little tidbits like that, and you're like, actually, yeah, there is other stuff that's not as obvious that's lurking beneath the surface.
And I'm sure he's a little tired sometimes and might make movies that don't have a lot of subtext, but that's why we're here, to have fun talking about it.
Yeah, sometimes you just like them for what they are, and it's just fun to discuss them and all the craziness that's going on. Yeah.
So, yeah. To sum up, folks, Rachel's busy. That's why this took a while to coordinate. But I'm glad we made it. This was an awesome time.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm usually busy in some sort of Italian newspaper archive, like trying to find some information.
And if this question doesn't, if you don't want to answer this question, I'll just cut it. So are there more episodes of Fragments of Fear coming soon?
Yeah, there are, right? So we've had a break that's gone on, like, I couldn't believe when I checked like how many months it's been since our last episode. Things keep going wrong. I broke my elbow and I had 2 operations, and then Peter was sick. Peter had COVID, and then like family stuff and this and that. So it feels like every week, like last week, we were going to record our episode on Two Faces of Fear. And then we were supposed to do it the week before that in the week. So, and we were going to do Bloodlink, and then we switched to Two Faces of Fear, and then we're still not ready, but it should be this week coming, touch wood. So we're not stopped. Like, someone messaged me and they're like, "Oh, have you stopped?" I was like, "No, everything keeps going wrong and it doesn't work." But you know what it's like trying to schedule time with this.
Yes, I have a very busy person with 2 jobs. I've got, a person, in your time zone I have to coordinate with, and
oh yeah, it's difficult. But thank you for inviting me on this, because it's really cool to talk, and it's just like have fun with some titles. I don't have to prepare like loads of notes, and I can't be accused of reading off a script. That's good.
Hey, anyone who claims that talking to me is fun is a friend of mine.
Yeah, maybe I just haven't left the flat in a long time.
I mean, I talk to myself every day, and I'm sick of me.
Especially in the shower. I don't know why. It's like just having a full conversation.
Oh, we should have recorded this. Oh, fuck.
I know, like shower. I think I would like all my best works in the shower, like all my best ideas for things I'm working on. So maybe I just need to like set up not recording, actual recording. You know what I mean? A microphone, not a video camera.
When I was a kid, I used to stay up all night because I was scared of bullies at school, and I would just write comebacks that never happened because they never said the exact phrase I needed them to say for my comeback. That's why I sleep like 8 hours a night as an adult, because I never slept as a kid. That's how I caught so many cool movies in the middle of the night, because I was sneaking being awake.
Oh, that's awful that you were up all night worrying about it. I think that even as adults, don't we do that still? Like fictional arguments. I have arguments all the time in my dreams with people.
You gotta turn it off. That's why I'm able to sleep. I've been writing the same novel since 2002. As soon as I start thinking about it, I'm out. Like, I immediately pass out because my book's so fascinating.
Honestly, like every night, like multiple times a night, I'll dream of having arguments with people. I wake up exhausted. I'm like, oh my God.
I know, dude. You've been waiting to tell me off for 10 years.
I know.
And you blew it.
I had a dream about recording this podcast.
Yes.
Anxiety dream about it.
Night Killer 2, the podcasting.
Yeah, exactly that.
Folks, take care. And Rachel, thank you again.
Thank you. It was good for chatting.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
Hello, This is the Doom Show is a proud member of the Legion Podcast Network. Please check out the other podcasts on legionpodcasts.com. If you'd like more Hello, This is the Doom Show, go to hellodoomshow.podomatic.com or go to doomedmoviethon.com for the archives. If that's still not enough, go to @doomedmoviethon on Twitter. You can write in to Hello, This is the Doom Show. Use the email doomedmoviethon@gmail.com. Doom Show episodes are available on record and 8-track cassette.